man, woman, and child. Tune in, tune in. We got a special invited guest tonight. The one and only hip-hop certified. I mean, certified from the grain, from the soil, from the mud, from Brooklyn's own. DR period tonight, bro. Tonight, if you overseas, 4:30 if you on East Coast time. In LA, on the West Coast time, we should be like what? 1:30 over there. Tune in. Everybody tune in. Timbo King Live. Timbo King Live. We have special guests. DR period. He's going to tune in. We're going to go interview one of the greatest producers of many eras. I can't say time, you know. I'm going to say many eras. Humble brother, good friend, father, producer, well-rounded figure. DR period, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Timbo King, and it's the Timbo King Live Show season now. DH1 Network. What's going on, peoples? How many people's in the building? We need to tune in, tune in, tune in. Tune in. What's going on? Universe. DR period tonight. I'm your host, Timbo King. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Who in the building? Thumbs up. I know this post is going everywhere. So all the subscribers, I'm back in action. Share this. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Timbo King Live. We got DR period in the building. I'm waiting for him to come in, zap in, so he could tap in to these questions. I had to do my due diligence and get my facts straight, get everything right for the people in YouTube, in the YouTube world. DR period. He should be popping up any minute. How y'all doing otherwise? Be on the lookout for that album, Verbatim. March 3rd, 2023. Produced by Shaka Amazulu III. Why I keep saying the 3rd? It's the 7th. It drops on the 3rd. It's a trilogy project. All Timbo King, no features. We seeing what's going on with the brother. I'm waiting patiently. That's one thing DR taught me. Coming up as a youth, as a teenager, being around them, you have to have patience. I have a tremendous patience. Let me check some. Ready to go. YouTube ready. You think you should hit up DR, see what's going on? You want to hit him from your phone? I know. I know we live. Live in effect. Live and direct. For real. You're hearing feedback from other devices in the building. It's the Timbo King live show. We got the DR period, man. No sound effects. You're gonna hear bang, 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 bang. That's what you're gonna hear. What's going on, DR? Come on, baby. Yeah. Who's in tune with the Wu-Tang series, the Hulu series? What's that? Season 3? What they up to episode 2 or 3? I think I seen the first one of season 3. A lot of people getting slack on the old dirty bastard one. I didn't see it for myself, so I can't critique that as yet. But I'm hearing negative side, I'm hearing positive side, Hollywood side, I'm hearing the street side, I'm hearing the family side. I have to view it myself. Then I get back at you. What's going on out there otherwise? What's going on with this tax season, man? Y'all ready for your taxes? All my business people? 1099s, W-2s, 1854s, 1316s, 1511s. Y'all ready? Preparation, TurboTax, whatever. H&R Block. Y'all ready? We still got like, what, 6 more weeks to file? Yeah. DR period is in. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Timbo King, and it's the Timbo King live show. And we have one of the hip hop phenomenals of all eras,
That's
DR
what's
period,
up,
ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Timbo. What it
Bang,
is,
bang, bang,
my
bang, bang.
brother. What it is.
Yo, what's good with it, DR, man?
Man, it's
Congratulations,
all good.
man.
What's going on with you, sir?
Everything great. Can't complain. Nobody listening, man.
Well,
I'm
you know that's the
very
motto.
that you came and then tuned in for this show. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do it live with you on the YouTube channel. So you're the
Right,
first
right.
first special guest to do this. So this is my first.
Oh, whoa, whoa. I feel honored, brother. I feel
Yeah.
honored, brother.
Yo, let's get straight to it, man. We got
Let's
DR Perry
go.
building. Where you originally from, DR? Where you from? Where you from? Let the people
Brooklyn.
know. You're from
I'm
Brooklyn.
originally from Brooklyn, Brownsville, Brooklyn. You know, big
Okay.
up to Brooklyn, big up to Brownsville, big up to whole New York. This is what we do all day, every day.
So let's go back to your childhood. You come from a big family. Your mother and
Yeah.
father always around you. Where you had brothers and sisters, other siblings. Talk about that.
Well, yeah, I got brothers, I got sisters, I got uncles, I got cousins, I got buzzins. You know what I mean? I got a little bit of everything. But
Yeah,
yeah, I come from a big family. My
yeah.
family's a musical family. You
Definitely
know?
one of the biggest families in Brooklyn, I must say.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They know us. They know the Pittmans. Boy, Pittmans is some serious people in Brooklyn.
So, coming into this music business or hip hop, the culture, what was your
Right.
first skill in trade? What was your first skill when you coming into this game?
Well, for me, it was more like learning instruments. Like I said, I come from a musical family,
Yeah,
and one of the things was like, my mom, she's the type of mom was like, yo, look, listen, she got all these sons, all these kids, y'all going to school, but while y'all at school, learning, education, somebody better pick up an instrument. Because she always had this thing where she managed musicians. She was like the plug. She was like the neighborhood plug for musicians to meet other musicians, and a lot of groups, a lot of bands, a lot of situations was developed through her relationship. So me, I had to learn instruments. So I took drums. My older brother, one of my oldest brothers, Booby, my next oldest brother, he was a drummer, and my brother Boo, he played drums so incredible, and I wanted to do what he do, you know. And I was like, yo, what he's doing, I wanted to do that.
Did y'all actually have a drum set in the house?
We
Or
had drum sets, we had musicians in the basement all the time. So in my eyes, it was always a full house of instruments, you know, and I always had access to a lot of it. And that's why when I got into school and started applying to be down with the drum line, and it was like a situation where I was already a little seasoned. So my music teacher used to be impressed with me. He's like, "Yo, you nice," and
was
he
this
was like,
junior high?
"Yo,
Let's let the people know. Was this in public school, junior high school?
well, it started in public school, PS 28. Then from PS 28, I went to 271, IS
Who's
271.
who's
That's
setting?
junior high school.
Bum.
Yep, you know what I'm saying? And that's when it all really began when I got into junior high school because my music teacher was Stick Evans. And a lot of people don't know that was James Brown drummer. Him and Clyde used to be back
Mhm.
to back on a lot of that James Brown rhythm on all them funky drummers and all that different stuff, you know, back then. Sticks and Clyde was them dudes, you know, but he was my music teacher, you know, and what he did for me, he got me motivated to learn instruments, to learn how to play piano, learn how to play drums, guitar, bass, anything I could put my hands on. He was the motivation to like pushing me and saying, "Yo, you should just try these instruments because you never know which one you're gonna end up with the rest of your life." And that was such a true saying. But being that I had to learn so many different instruments, it also trained me to think like different musicians.
I mean,
So
come
when I
from
trans
an era where they had programs for instruments in schools at that time.
Yeah, they had programs. That's what it was. It was either I was on two programs. The first program was music. My second program was gymnastics. I know people
Yeah,
look at me like,
and I
man,
was in
you
gymnastics.
you don't flip. I was like, yeah, I used to do all that
Yeah,
backflips,
you know me.
all that. You
You
know
know
what I'm
me
saying?
jumping
I
off
was nice.
garbage cans,
But
all
Tim, you
garbage.
know,
So I'm nice. For real, we're gonna take
you
that to
know.
another.
So we'll say that one. But those were the two programs that you either had to be a part of, fathers, if you wanted to have activity as a kid in school, you know, and other than that was sports, you know, it was basketball or whatever they did in the gym. And sports and all that stuff was never me. So, you know, gymnastics was me because I had all the homies, you know, from around the way. And that's what we did after school. We lined the mattresses up down the block and do all the flipping up and down the block.
You know, no.
So you already know what that was about. You know, we was
Yeah.
out there on that time. But then outside of that, music became like the first love for me on a creative side, me discovering all what I could be, you know, to what people seeing what I am to this day.
So
It started with the music.
from the drums, you went into doing the beatbox, or was it the beatbox then the drums? What? Which one
Well, I
was it?
was doing
Known,
beatbox.
yeah, because you was known in the neighborhood for doing the
Yeah.
beatbox. You was like an orchestra walking around in the communities. They go.
Right. I was doing the beatbox. That's how I used to remember my drum patterns in music class because at that time he was trying to teach us sheet music, you know, and when I used to look at it, it used to look like a foreign language to me. So I really wasn't all that good in reading the, you know, excuse me, the sheet music. So I knew how to beatbox. So I used to remember the patterns. And the thing about the music that I had to learn is you had to learn how to play with both hands. Your
Mhm.
left had to be as strong as your right had to be as strong as your left. So that was called rudiments, and then they called paradiddle, and these is all the little different things they had to teach you. So I got nice in that, and then I also was nice in beatboxing because that was our after school thing where we all get together and show off our little, you know, hitting talents amongst each other and start our little secret battles amongst each other. And a lot of us was incredible, and we was all motivation for each other. You know, we all was pushing each other to the highest degree. So I say beatbox and being in music class, then learning how to DJ, and then learning how to understand how to write and rap. You know, so I actually started really developing up the whole idea of living a lifestyle of hip hop.
Didn't
Hip
you go?
hop became a lifestyle to me.
Didn't you go to school with Chris Rock and Tony Rock at 271?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I went to school with them, even with DMX, you know what I'm saying?
Max, shout out
From
to
Just Ice, you know
and
what I mean?
just
Yeah,
that's where I know you from that era.
yeah,
From
yeah. I
his
went to
brother
school with
Henry.
all those
Shout out
dudes.
to Henry. Shout
Yeah,
out to Henry. I met you through DMX and his brother Henry.
yeah, yeah, Henry, my dudes. Yeah, those my dudes. So, those dudes was like some of the first dudes I even see like for what we was doing after school and how they was making records. Like they was all on the radio, they were doing shows. I remember in those days it was like, yo, we go, we perform, we come back, we
So
fresh to
you and
death the next day.
so you and DMX used to be together and do shows together doing beatbox.
Yeah, yeah. After a while, I started rolling with them, and
Okay,
that's how I started getting my feet wet in how to
okay,
perform, how to conduct myself on stage. That's to watch them, and that's kind of broke the fear out of being in front of a big audience.
okay.
Hanging out with dudes like that was already seasoned in the game. Then I met Dougie Fresh. I started going uptown, hanging out with him. Then I met Rozelle.
So you was
Then I
doing
met
beatbox.
Biz. Me and Biz Mark, huh?
Was you doing any beatbox battles at that time?
That's all we did. That's all we did. We used to meet up at each other train stops and come out. They had a crew. I had my little crew with us, and we'd battle. All of us. Me, Doug battle. Me and Biz a battle in Hobby Square Mall downtown. You know what
Fact.
I'm saying? And Rozelle pull up. He'll start battling us, and then Bebop Wise, and then we had, R.I.P. to my boy Shockbox. He was another
R.I.P.
dope human
Shockbox, man.
beatbox.
He was the first around the way guy I seen got endorsed by Coca-Cola back in the early 80s.
Yes, that's
Beatbox.
how far it went
Been in
for him.
commercials.
Yeah. Yep, he had the Coca-Cola deal. He won Apollo. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It was nothing but love for him. When he showcased his talent. So I was around a lot of incredible situations. So if
yeah,
I really
you
think
were.
about the history of my upbringing, it was very inspiring and motivating, man. Because a lot of the dudes I hung tight with really became successful people. As life started presenting themselves to them and they started presenting their gifts to the universe, things started changing around for brothers.
So as a producer, as DR period, when did that name come into effect as a producer? Because around the way you was known as Daryl Pittman.
Yeah, yeah. And then I went from Daryl Pittman to Daryl D. And then I went
Daryl
from
D.
Daryl D to Dr. Daryl D. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? And then at that time, it was so many doctors. It was like, yo, I can't just be another doctor. You know what I mean? So it was like at that time I was, dealing with my degrees and everything. So my other alias was Divine and Divine Ruler, and I was like, hold up, I'm Daryl Divine Ruler D and the R. You know what? Instead of being doctor, I'm gonna just be DR. Period. That's it. That's it. Period. That's it. So it was meant to just be DR, and I used to always say DR and then say the word period behind it. And then somebody called me that one day and was like, yo, DR period. And I was like, I like the way the sound was. And then
The
that
way it
was the
rolled off his
love
tongue.
for the name. Huh?
The way it rolled off his tongue in the streets.
Yeah. I was like, yo, I like the way that sound. He called me DR period. So I'm going to run with it. And I stuck with that name ever since.
Factory, factory. So when you started
Yeah.
doing production as DR period, what you started doing drum machines, keyboards, what you was getting into? What was the equipment, your device at that time?
Well, for me, when I started working with drum machines, we had Soul Sonic drum, because that's a whole nother story. How I got my hands on a Soul Sonic drum, then how I even got my hands on a Dr. Rhythm. Then that was the next drum machine. Then I got my hands on another drum machine called a Korg DDD1, and then I got my hands on no, it was a TR 909 drum machine. Then came the MPC 60.
Okay, okay. So you was influenced by your family members, as you were saying, your older brother was a drummer. So
Right.
you became a producer So you started doing hip hop. What do you started doing? Gospel. What do you started doing? R&B. What was you was known for as production when you started doing beats? You started doing
Well,
tracks.
when I started doing beats, I was more on just I don't even say I had a category then. I was just learning how, to get more skillful in sequencing. Like, when you make music, you have to put patterns together, 8 bars of intros, verses, chorus.
Okay.
So
So you was
I
a
got really,
you was a
really,
composer.
yeah,
Okay.
right, exactly. I learned how to become a composer. So the best teacher was for me was R&B. So I started off with R&B
Yes.
because I was really, really like heavy in what Quincy Jones was doing. I was heavy in what I was seeing with Teddy Riley and it was coming with it. I was heavy in, just the whole chords and bass lines and all that. I liked the structure of music being put together just because I had a musical background. So, as a musician, you have choices of how you want to approach certain things. And I would say it was more R&B, then came pop. You know what I mean? And then I started learning how to put pop music together and make it dance music. And then after that, then I started getting more on the edge. And then I started doing more rap music, making rap beats for rappers and stuff like that. And then being that I knew how to play, because, like I said, I have a very spiritual household. So I used to hear a lot of gospel music through the house. And then I started learning how to play gospel music. So a lot of the stuff I was doing, I was connecting a lot of these different genres of music in one place. So a lot of
So
stuff.
is it true that you produced the Color Me Bad record, Sex You Up, or was the remix? Which one was it?
No, no, no. I didn't do Sex You Up. Sex You Up was done with Spider Man and Freeze in them.
Spider
Those
Man.
still my brothers. Yeah, we
Okay.
all are part of this thing called the Producer Coalition of America. All of them. Me, Spider, Chucky, Joe Naughty, Buddha, R.I.P. to Shamello. You know what I'm saying? All of us was a team. But Color Me Bad was a development project that they was working with, and I was working with Royale Bayan at the time, and the
Shout out
package
to
was
Royale.
Color Me Bad.
Royale.
Right, Royale, and the packages was Dr. Dow D and Color Me Bad. So when it came down to the showcase for Giant Warner Brothers at the time, Cassandra Mill she was in the head seat over there, and we did the showcase. She signed me, and she signed Color Me Bad. So I did a lot of records for Color Me Bad in the very beginning part, in the very development part. Like we was a team. You know how when you have a house full of artists and people all in the same studio working out the same team structure. Yeah, that's how it all came about. So I ended up doing some records with them. One of them slipped through the crack. Some things, didn't make it. Project came out, and that's how my affiliation with Color Me Bad happened.
So the next move around the way, we heard you was working with Freedom Williams, CNC Music Factory.
Yep. And then that came next, where Freedom actually lived up the block, where I moved further from the lower part of Brownsville down the hill. Then I moved on the other side, closer to Bed-Stuy, and I was living on a street called Herkimer Street. And Freedom Williams lived on the next Herkimer Street over. And he used to pass the house every day. This is before, the whole CNC Music Factory experience happened for me. And I used to always have a habit of when I make beats, I put the speaker outside the window just so everybody on the block and anybody who walking by can hear what I'm doing in the house. I don't know why I did that. I wasn't even DJing, I was just making beats. So, just hearing a person create used to attract a lot of people and attract actually Freedom, because one day I seen Freedom uptown at one of the rallies, and we started talking, and I was telling him where I am and who I am and where I'm from. He like, yo, I'm from that neighborhood too. And he'd be like, yo, it be a dude over there making some beats and stuff like that. You know about him? I'd be like, yo, that's me. And then one thing led to another. And next thing I know, I'm on a whole CNC Music Factory rocking hard with them, getting things done.
Salute
So
on that.
yeah.
So now you got your introduction to the game as a music producer working with R&B group Color Me Bad. Then you went to
Hmm.
Music Factory. That was dance music, correct?
Yes, that was dance music. That was more on the pop side of DR period. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, as you climb up the ladder in the music production, what made you go into the Hill That's Real project?
Well, the Hill That's Real was actually already done. When I came aboard, they were just trying to figure out who they was going to use from off that project. So it was a whole new beginning because it was supposed to have been a second compilation, from what I understand, but it never happened. So Lazy Lays,
Lazy
you
Lake.
know,
Lazy Lake.
right?
Brownsville in the building. Scoop Lover.
Yes,
It used to
there
be.
you go. So Lays in school and them was my homies from around the way. You know what I mean? Because I used to beatbox for them when they rap.
We're gonna
I
get to
used to roll up,
classic.
yeah, and we they was called the Uptown Two then. So we went back that far when they had they group thing going, and we used to rock. We used to rock real hard, and he came to me one day was like, "Yo, this is R.I.P. to Malik, the time when Malik was passing, and when he passed and
People don't
everything, and
know Mallet is Little
his
Fame.
little fame brother."
Yes.
Yeah, so at the whole time it was a very sensitive situation around the way. That was a
Yeah,
sad
that's a
day for
big
everybody.
on the way.
But Fame had a record on The Hill Is Real, and they wanted to kind of put some energy in him because the record kind of got some great feedback. And then that's when M.o.p. started coming through, but it wasn't an M.o.p. then. It's
No,
crazy because it was
I
just Little
okay.
Fame.
You know,
Yeah,
I was there. We're gonna
yeah,
get
you
to
was
that. We're
there,
gonna get
so
to
you
that.
already know the whole situation.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that studio session.
Right. So before I knew it, we had developed a situation, and then the birth of M.o.p. started. And next thing I know, our first record that we ever recorded together as a team was the first record that got us a deal over there at Select Records.
And that record
And
was.
that was the first record. How about some hardcore?
I want to explain to the people because I never told this story, and I wanted to tell the story with you. So it's definitely see everybody know that it's
Hmm.
factual factory.
Right.
When I was there when you first made the track, How About Some Hardcore? Shout out to Dark Denim, Black Jess from around the way. It was me, you, and Dark,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you was letting us hear the track.
Mhm.
I see Timbo King around the way. I'm on it. I'm on any track that you was dishing out.
Right. Right.
So you was like, yo, this is for M.o.p. This is from Slapping Billy. And this is at the time Billy first came home from prison.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you invited him to this when you was on Herkimer Street.
Yep.
And Billy came in and heard How About Some Hardcore. First of all, he didn't even like the track. I was telling
Yeah.
people the track.
That's so
He
true.
explained to the
He was a hard ear to please, yo.
yes, yes, yes. I remember the time you told him, yo, Billy, man, I don't have no money. Only thing I have upstairs is some frosted flakes. Frosted flakes?
Yeah.
Okay. And you
Right.
frosted flakes, yo, he must have turned it to Tiger, because he was like, right, yo, he was,
Tore
yo,
it down. Tore it down. He's
he
like,
tore
some
it
good.
down.
He's like, that's some good cereal right
What?
there.
He turned it to Tony the Tiger,
Right,
right?
right.
You know what I'm saying? I always tell Billy that, but
Yeah, yeah. And then he got comfortable. He started listening to it. Before we knew it, his
yeah,
energy was
that.
right on point.
And then the next day, Little Fame came to my house down the hill because I used to live down the hill, and
Mm-hmm.
part of his rhyme, How About Some Hardcore, in my crib. And
Mm.
telling me, he was like, yo, what do you think about this part? Slap, Little Mount. I was like, yo, whatever. That's your brother, man. You what? You got to do that.
Uh-huh.
You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right.
So, I could say I was there when it was created. I wasn't there when it was fully mixed or mastered and anything, but I was there in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
actually there. And me and Dark was part of that energy. And I like to say, man, for that moment and that time, y'all
Right.
salute y'all, for having me in the studio at that time and bear
Well,
witness.
you was a part of the whole situation too, in
I
your
know
own way,
that.
because
I'm humble pie. Humble pie.
you played a lot, man, when it came down to how we all connected the dots amongst each other. You know what I mean?
Facts. I told Little Fame that, R.I.P. the Lord Titus. Titus from around the way.
Yeah, yeah. R.P. to Titus. Yeah,
His family owned a country kitchen on Atlantic Avenue, right.
yeah.
Smooth and Trig and Devious used to live right around the corner.
Right, right.
Titus was a pillar in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
He put, Titus was always a go getter. So,
Right.
everybody came down the hill to meet Titus because, they had the little parking lot across the street.
Uh-huh.
Everybody used to go there and vibe out and everything.
Right.
Those were memories right there.
Yeah, those are days. Those are days when it was all good, you know? It was
Back.
all good, you know?
So,
So,
so the select records with the M.o.p. that was on a soundtrack. Wasn't that on a How About Some Hardcore? Was the single first, then it became a soundtrack to House Party?
well, the way it went, it was really all about the way the track they rolled it out and it started doing its own thing, you know? And then the opportunity came where Fred Manel at Select was doing the House Party movie.
Shout out to Fred. Oh, class.
Yeah. So when Fred said, I want this record to be in a movie because we are running the whole situation and they was trying to find a place to put the movie because the movie was a comedy.
Yes.
So we was like, all right, wherever y'all gonna put it, it doesn't even matter to us, as long as it goes in here. So that ended up getting in the movie. That ended up happening, and that stemmed the whole idea. Like the record got bigger and bigger and bigger. Next thing you know, they came back with an album proposition. Like, yo, I need you to do the whole album. And I was like, really? Because at
Well,
that time,
how about
I
some hardcore?
wasn't doing albums.
So how about some hardcore was the only single. It wasn't no B side to
It
it.
was no B side, nothing. It was just the only record we ever made. The only record we ever made. It was the first real session we ever did. It was no
Or that record
other.
after
Yeah,
you did the record on Herkimer, where did y'all go at after that to mix it and master it?
we mixed it at the basement. We stayed in the
Okay.
basement. We
Okay.
tried to go to the studio and mix it in a bigger studio, but at that time, the bigger studio took away something from the record. We didn't know what it
Mm,
was. You know
took
what I'm
that
saying? Because
took that grind out. It was
we
too.
didn't have the ability to separate the sounds and create stem tracks and all that. So what we did was use the 2 track and just mixed it and made it feel good and clean enough. And we kept the 2 track and we just let them we kept all the vocals we did in the basement because they even went and I think they even went and tried to relay vocals again because it was a bigger studio. It just took away from the record, and before we knew it, we was like, "Nah, we keeping it the way it was originally done," and we end up doing that. And
So
then the days,
they re-recorded their vocals at another studio and
yeah,
decided to keep the vocals that they did on Herkimer.
they recorded at another studio, thinking that they was gonna get a better
Sound.
vibe, a better
Yes.
sound, or whatever, because the vocals we did at the basement had so much back noise. It had a lot of. We had this big pipe going through the whole basement. So if anybody on the block used a bathroom,
Oh,
you
you
hear
heard
this
it.
big sewer pipe make noise.
Yes.
So it was constantly making noise, but the mics that I had set up in the studio when we was recording picked everything up. I
What
mean,
mic was that back then? What kind of mic you was
it was a
using?
Shure mic. I had a Shure mic,
Sure.
but it
Okay.
was one of those like cheesy but good Shure mic because I didn't have no quality equipment then. This was all done on equipment that was, I say, not the best. You know what I mean?
But you made
And
the best of it. You made the best out of the equipment.
yeah, that's why I always preach to this day about true success comes when you have less to work with because it forces your creative juices
You
to
make
make
something out.
whatever you're dealing with work. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And
Yes.
that's what happened for us. And we made it work because I used to be on one side of the board on the mutes, Lazy be on the other side of the board, and we'd be looking at each other saying, "Yeah, this is gonna be a mute part." And we used to mute the record, so all the mutes you heard in that record, we did those manually on the board, me and Lays. So that's why Lays played a real important role in the whole development. Because even to this day, I've never even said like Lays used to be like, yo, D man, play some bass lines on these records, because I used to hold back on the grooves, you know what I mean? And he's like, yo, you nice and replaying stuff, like play some of the stuff over. He don't want to put that battery in my back to start taking samples and replay them.
And flip them over.
And that's how I started creating the style for DR period. Because I used to always, every time I sample something, I replay it over and then throw the samples under it and compare notes. But it used to sound so good together with bigger chords, bigger bass
Good
lines, and
mess.
a little noise from the records. Yeah, it was a special moment, and yeah, and then that's how it all started really, really coming together. So big shout out to Lazy Lays, man, for being such
Lazy,
a
lazy, lazy.
motivated dude and pushing buttons, man, to get things out of people that they probably didn't never even see in themselves.
So as this record, How About Some Hardcore, was out around the way, it was like pandemonium for all the acts and groups. They went straight to you, like groups like Brown's Villains. I mean, groups like Pitch Black. I mean, Pat Poose. I mean, Smooth and Trig, um, Rhyme Wrecker, even Shaheem. This was early Shaheem. These are days
Yeah, when it
when
all was fresh, when everybody was just names
rubber
getting
bands.
discovered. Yep, bands, everybody. Yep, and
So they were,
I became, in some words, the little Quincy Jones of the hood.
yeah,
You know
yes,
what I'm
you are.
saying? The
Yes,
guy
you are.
that had the ear, the guy that had the know-how, the guy that had some equipment, and the guy that could actually get some things done. And my house became the go-to spot. You want to get on
Yes.
in the music game, or you want to make a demo, yo, go
Daryl Pittman
see
House,
DR.
Daryl Pittman House in Brownsville was
Yeah.
like our Motown Detroit Hitchville house.
Yes, exactly. And everybody came. They hung out in the front. They hung out on the side. They hung out in the backyards. I
You
couldn't
even
get
had
rid of people.
for artists to listen to their music, like a Jeep room. You had a special
Yeah,
Jeep.
yeah. So when I
Explain to the
went
people your
further in
room.
Bushwick, I
Yeah,
went down there, I bought the building in Bushwick, and I had this dream and this vision on how I was going to design the studio.
yeah,
So I got a piece of paper, start sketching it out. I showed my brother, which is one of my other brothers, one of my older brothers, Boo, and showed him the vision. And he said, I could build that. And he went and got busy and built the studio. But I had the whole setup. I even created this one box room, and I call it the Jeep room.
yes.
Then I went and put real car seats in there, speakers
Fact.
in the floor. I like had speakers in the ceiling. When the whole object was, it was like more of a finished product room to listen to the mix after it's said and done, and also get a vibe in the room. You know what I'm saying? So you could write, because what will happen? The studio be so occupied with artists, you need to come down there to write, and there was no room. It was only one studio at the time, but the Jeep room was a place that everybody wanted to go, because dudes used to come down there with their girls, go in the Jeep room. You already know that was crazy, but
Fact. Fact.
that Jeep room was a real legendary situation. We had that joint feeling like a car.
For artists to go to the studio and then at the same time, for him to break away from the studio vibes to go into another room and feel like you in a vehicle. That-
Yeah, and it was never done before. So when
yeah.
dudes would be like, "Yo, that is so dope. That's crazy." So it was history there. It was a lot of history, and it was good because it goes to show me, like, if you set your atmosphere right, you definitely can get some real dope creative things out of yourself.
So after success of M.o.p. To the Death's album, you started Next Level Production.
Yeah, Next Level Entertainment.
Next Level Department.
So Next Level Entertainment was, okay, I'm here, but what's my next level from here? And that's when Next Level was born. R.I.P. to my older brother, Bernard, Mr. B.
A little
And Mr. B used to be like, yo, we need a new, what I'm saying, we need a new approach, because M.o.p. is a hard act to follow. You started something. Now the whole Brownsville is in competition to try to get that same energy and they
They
bringing it to
was
you the
Brownsville was
same way.
Brownsville was on your doorstep after M.o.p.
Yeah, it was crazy. So next level came to life, and I started looking for artists. And at that time, I ran across Smooth and his brother Trey and his crew called Ruckets.
Gambler.
Yep. And this is when they was all in dancing mode, where they
Yes, the
was
riders.
dancers.
If
You know what I'm
people don't
saying?
know, Smooth and Trig were dancers, the guest riders.
Yeah, the guest riders. So they came on my block one day, and I had a block party, and they had the whole block going crazy. I mean, it was nice. They wasn't just regular dancers,
Nah.
just trying to bust a regular around the way move.
Now it was flipping,
Yo, they
routine.
was flipping, throwing each other in the air, throwing like I've never seen moves like that. I was so overwhelmed and so like impressed with them. I approached them like, yo, if y'all knew how to rap, I could do something with y'all. And Smooth stepped up and was like, I could rap. And I was like, word, let me hear you. And he rapped. I said, because at the time he was rapping this regular smooth, you know. And mind you, I'm just coming out of M.o.p mode, so everything was a rugged and aggressive. I was like, yo, if you come back with an attitude, maybe we can do something. Smooth went home and became a new person. When he came back, I was like, oh, now we talking. And before I know it, that was the birth of Smooth the Hustler.
So Smooth the Hustler, his debut album, the title was called.
Once Upon a Time in America.
That came right after M.o.p.
That
Correct.
came right after M.o.p. So
Correct.
when I did that,
The
he
first
had
single
did the
was
record hustling.
Hustler. Correct.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Hustling.
Rafiq, man. You had a 7-man team back then, right? For
Yeah. I had a nice team. And the dudes that I had was dudes that I grew up with. And they all had the same idea that I had was like, yo, man, let's just get it. And we ain't know, but we went for it and and it happened.
okay, so Smooth the Hustler is out. Trigger the Gambler is around. He's up to bat. How Trigger the Gambler came into play.
Well, Trey started because they all came to the studio every time Smooth came. I
Okay.
used to always tell Smooth, like, yo, you bringing too many people, because now at this point, my room could only hold but a good 3 to maybe 4 people comfortably. This dude would come with 10 dudes every time, like 10. Then it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I used to make certain dudes stay in the hallway, certain dudes were staying outside, and everybody that I was working with on with Smooth would be inside the studio. And Trey used to always be in there. So I watched Trey troubleshoot with Smooth on so many different things. And he did it so good. I was like, yo, man, you need to do records with him. And Trey was like, yeah, that's the plan.
This before
So
Broken Language.
yeah, and that's how we came. Like Broken Language is a whole nother way that record came together. Now at this point, they just won me over on the understanding that these guys gonna do a record one day together. We didn't know which record that was gonna be.
Okay.
And it happened to be Broken Language. And what's
Okay.
so crazy, that was the beginning of them working on records together.
Okay.
And I was in the studio all night, all morning, messing with this sample. But this sample I had kept glitching and it kept going boom key, boom key. So all I was hearing was burk, burk. And I'm like, yo, why I
What,
can't get the
what
full loop?
pardon me, Darryl, what machine it was glitching on?
It was on the MP.
Okay.
So the MP went into what is called a mind of his own.
Mm.
And when it went into this thing called mind of his own, it would do what it wanted to do. And I turned the machine off and put the joint right back in there. And yo, I kid you not, it just kept being in the same glitch spot. And before I knew it, I was like, man, this thing ain't gonna work. And then Smooth ended up knocking on the door, and it was mad early in the morning. He's like, yo, what are you doing? Like, yo, what are you doing here so early? And I was just letting him know my problems. And I was like, yeah, I got this sound, man. I can't get this whole loop. I remember playing the whole loop. And then I went back to try to press it on the machine. And all I was getting was burnt, burnt, burnt. And I said to him, yo, I'm going to end up making a beat. And it's going to be like burnt, 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 burnt. And he was like, yo, that sound kind of dope. And next thing I know, he pumped me up to finish the beat. And before I knew it, we had Broken Language in effect, yo.
Bang, 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 bang.
Yo, that was it. You know, he went got trade, came back, and it was history from there.
Okay, okay. So now that you got two solidified acts in the music business, and next level is the production and a label at that time.
Yeah, because see, we didn't take the title as a label until we started putting out music. But the production company, that's all we was really living for, because at that time it was about trying to figure out how we was gonna get into the record companies. In those days, everybody was getting in that had a production company. I was
So
like, we're gonna be a production company, you know what I'm saying? And when I became a production company, that's when, the label started taking meetings with me. And then they needed to hear what I was, what I was working on, and who, I was interested in artist wise. But it just still seemed like they wasn't really ready to sign nothing.
mm,
So what I decided to do was like talk to my team, and my team was all on the same page, and we put the record out independent and started running. Because in those days, if you get your record at radio, the label's talking to you, because they know how hard it is to
you
get
mean
signed.
pressing white labels?
Yeah, we pressed the white labels, we
Okay,
pressed the cassettes. we
nice,
we went hard. We went hard, and we even got it at radio, where they had it in those days, a thing called Battle of the Beats.
correct,
And they'll play your record and that have people call in and judge your record. And we won that. And when we won that, they gave us instant like mix show rotation. And when that mix show rotation started happening, and now everybody convinced, yo, this dude DR got something that the streets loving. And
fact.
before I knew it, it was on and popping.
So you got select records under your belt. You have profile records under your belt. Where
Profile came after we print records up and
after
made things happen.
and all
Then
that.
profile came in the
And
picture.
you next level pressed up Hustler, the
Yep,
single.
yep,
Y'all pressed that up yourself.
yep.
I remember that
Hmm.
was on the grind out in the field and going to Maria Davis, all the clubs and all
Yep, yep.
records. Then y'all did a video for that, correct?
Then we shot a video for it, yeah.
Nice, nice,
And then we kept going, kept going. Then Profile came in the picture, and we took the deal with Profile, and that was the beginning of everything great.
nice. That's when the tours started coming in.
The tours came, the other deals. Trigger got signed at Def Jam,
Correct,
DB got signed over at Def Jam. All of them as a crew was getting signed to Loose Cannon. Like, it was going down. Ron Wrecker and Guest was known as the Punishers. They was getting signed.
correct.
It was so much different thing. Headless Horsemen got signed at Def Jam. Like, everything I touched got signed, and things started happening.
But you was like a hidden gem amongst all the producers that was out at that time.
Yeah, yeah, because see, at that time, I had the street credibility where everybody said, "Yo, DR, period, that dude is dope."
Yes, because you was always around executive neighborhood producers, quote unquote,
Yeah,
the like the Fendis, the Fujis, uh,
yeah.
the Orels, the China.
Hmm. You're
These,
right,
these was
right.
these was our executive producers back then.
Yeah, and they was all homies, and they used to all be like, "Yo, my artist, this, my artist." They says, "Throw me artists," and that's how it started. That's how the name even started getting bigger. Because when they went into these labels, they used to be like, "Yo, we'll do whatever we gonna do on our business side, but we bringing our man DR period up in here to do this beats and do this production." And that's how a lot of those situations worked in my favor.
So you know how to turn a MC into an artist who could make rap music, correct?
Yep,
Because things started with you from the park. So from the park, it went to the studio. From the studio, it went to the stage, radio, etc., so on and so on.
right. Yeah,
How
the
to
whole development plan. It
yes,
was a,
develop.
it
You
was,
how to
it.
turn
I became a development
an
machine
artist.
where they paid attention to me, because they was like, "Yo, this guy knew steps." Like,
Yeah,
even when I got Foxy, she just started rapping. She only knew how to rap. She knew how to put words together, but she didn't know when to stop. She didn't know when the chorus need to come in. She didn't know how to stop cussing so much on every rap that she had, you know. And it got to a point when she got with me, then she started learning structure and learning how to put them records together and make them songs. And before I knew it, yeah, that was the birth of Foxy Brown. I got a sign over at Capitol Records.
factory. So you have all these slew of artists. They signed. You got record deals. You got soundtracks out. You got the production out. What was the next move after the Smooth and Trig and the Foxy Brown? What was up to bat?
After all of that, it was to go into film and TV. So I had to start learning about the publishing game
So
because
because
to hear so much about it.
you was early with the sound bites and the
Yeah,
overs. You was always early with that.
yeah, and how I got introduced to that, dude. Big shout out to Freedom Williams from CC Music Factory. Freedom came to me one day, was like, "Yo, how your publishing looking?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Yo, I know some dudes that might be interested in working with you because you produce, and you write and you do all that, and
You
they
had a
looking
lot.
for people like that."
You had a lot of publishing shares amongst Hits Records.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I went over there, and one thing led to another, and they embraced me over there. It's like, "Yo, you definitely that dude." And they gave me a admin deal, where they just basically manage catalog and not, lock me in permanently or nothing. But I was coming so correct that the partnership of us just worked for so long and for so many years. And next thing I was all over TV. I was in every movie. I was on everything that was moving. So that publishing game became a real blessing to me. And then that's when I just started staying there and rocking hard and then making records on the side.
Factory. So as Dr. Period, the producer, you you paved the way for a lot of artists, such as Papoose. His early days.
Hmm.
No,
Yeah.
what you
Pat.
didn't you produce Alphabetical Slaughter?
Yeah, I produced Alphabetical Slaughter.
Mm, mm,
And I produced The Connection.
mm,
We
mm.
actually, that was a joint production between me and Proof.
Mm,
Shockbox. He went by Proof, Living Proof as the producer.
mm.
So we did the Connection together, and that was Papoose, AZ, and Coogee Rap on the B side,
Factory.
and the A side was Alphabetical Slaughter.
Mm.
Yeah, and I pressed it up, put it out independently, and worked the record and got it going.
Pardon me, Dr. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
as far as your production wise, you're known in the game, and everybody's saying Dr. is this, Dr. is that. You went to a space where you was like, how can I say? You fell back. Didn't you go somewhere? Didn't you go to California somewhere? You was chilling for a minute
No,
after.
I went to California to start working more on the that was during the time when I went out with Color Me Bad. Then I went out for the Jacksons project.
Yeah, the
Then I
Jackson.
went out
Yeah,
there to start working with the Jacksons. Then I went out there to start working with Sting. I started getting more into the pop R&B stuff back again, and I kind of fell back from the hip hop for a minute because I was now officially in the game, and now I'm like understanding the difference between a hip hop check and a R&B and a pop check. It was two different. It was like night and day. So I
could you
started,
tell? Could you tell
chasing.
what attorneys did you have? The legendary attorneys that put you onto the music business.
Well, they had they moments with me. I had attorneys like Louise West, Reggie Osei, you know what I mean? Stutnicky, Larry
Nick,
Stutnicky.
Nick,
I had Theo Salabaya. I had a
Dio,
couple
Dio,
attorneys, man.
Eminem, Dio, Eminem,
Huh?
Dio,
Yeah,
Eminem.
Theo. Yep.
Mm,
I had
mm.
Theo when Theo was just getting out of law school, and he just turned his office into a law firm and slash part time DJ. Where I used to go in his office, he had his DJ set up in there, cutting records. I'm coming in to talk business. He in there scratching records. So me and Theo go back as far as that, like those days. And then he became this super duper high profile attorney, over the course of time because he started getting the right clients.
So what are you doing now as Dr. Perry, the producer?
Well, right now, DR Purdy, the producer, is doing a couple different things. I'm still heavy in the publishing game. I say probably about 65, if not 55% of what you hear on the networks and all them major. Those a lot of back music and musical beds that I did. A lot of TV and film music. Then on top of that, I have my label over at Sony/Orchard, and we got Rock Boy Records. We putting out records on a monthly basis as Rock Boy. Big shout outs to my partner Fly Ty. You know what I'm saying? I got my studio out here in Jersey, VTS Recording Studio with my partner Styles, so big shout
Oh, so
outs to
you're in
that.
Atlantic City now. You're in a new location, new energy, Atlantic City,
Yep,
correct?
I got a whole new location, new energy. You know what I mean? Like right now, everything is just so dope. Like right now, I'm sitting in one of my rooms right now, as you see. You know,
Factory, factory.
you
You
know,
get that shade with
and
though.
take y'all on a tour while you're watching. You know what I mean?
Why not?
And take y'all to the other room. Boom.
DR period live on the Timbo King live show. Yes.
So yeah, so we fully set up over here like we supposed to. So I got that going. And one of my new excitements right now, I get to revisit back DR period the MC. You know
Oh,
what I
so,
mean?
so
And
see, I
I'm
didn't go into
very excited.
I didn't go into that DR period the MC. A lot of people
Yes,
know DR
yes,
period is an MC.
yes, yes, yes.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about DR period the MC now.
Yeah, because the whole thing about DR period the MC is crazy because I always was an MC from day one. It's just that I just never ever had a chance to go all the way with it because I had other opportunities to do other things. So I had opportunities to be a producer. I have an opportunity to, be part of production companies. And, I did all that. So, the dream of DR period, the MC had to get put on hold. But it really happened after the loss of, RIP to Omega Supreme. When I lost Omega
Omega.
Supreme, the
Omega.
DJ, and he was like a big battery to my, to my pack, where
Oh
it was like,
man.
oh man, us was a team. We had got our first little deal with Hurricane Records. We was on our way
I remember
with
that.
the passing, yeah.
Going to his house, Atlantic Towers, right?
Yeah, Atlantic Towers. Yep. You know
Correct,
what I mean?
correct.
And when he passed, that changed my whole spirit. It brought me in a dark place where I wasn't really good with this no more as the MC. So I really relied like 120% on the production. But as time go on, I'm still using my MC abilities to develop artists. Write hooks, write songs with people. I did a lot of work. And way God works in my life, he was like, look, listen, now it's time for you to revisit this. Now this is a great time because now it's back to the word that you can identify with. Where I was in the game, I had to play by the rules because if you wanted to be heard, you got to get signed to a label. That's just the way it was. And you could have went independent, but independence wasn't respected. It was looked at as like, oh, you doing independent? Son, that ain't where it's at in those days. But it made a lot of sense because you had 110% control. But now, where the world's so open and very open minded about an independent artists coming with heat, this is a perfect time to revisit it. And then not only that, I'm in a game of now. I've been doing so much music that was tearing down things. Now I need to build some things. So DR, the MC, is on a mission of making music that builds up people right now.
So you have a new single out right now.
Yep, and we just dropped it yesterday. It's called
Correct.
Whole Nother Lit. It's on all
Oh,
platforms. Go check
okay.
it out.
By DR yourself, right?
Yep, produced by DR, written by DR, performed by DR, mixed by DR, mastered by DR, video shot by DR. I'm all the way in. I'm on a what you call the
Oh,
hip hop Tyler Perry movement.
you're, you're an octopus. You on everything.
Yeah, you gotta be because see, this is the world that I come from. I came from what you call a self-contained atmosphere where you have to be nice. If you wanted to be a producer, you had to know how to engineer. You had to know how to mix. You had to know how to record. You had to know how to wire equipment. You had to know how to troubleshoot a room. These were things you had to know if you wanted to be a full-scale producer.
You you hear that? You new talent out there. You hear the wise words from this wise man. Dr. Period telling y'all, man, the technical side.
Yeah, so you had to learn all that. So now in these days and time to be independent, you got to know how to still record or find a good place to get recording or shoot videos, edit, do graphics, marketing, promotions, learn internet. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn how to work these different softwares, these apps. You got to know, how this whole thing run. And long as you know how this thing is running, then now you ready for the independent game.
All right, speaking of the independent game, you come from the era of the record stores, and now we in the era of platforms and streams, right? So you comparing the two, what do you think about the two? Record stores versus platforms.
Platforms is just another way of easily getting your work out to the world. Record stores is a collective thing. It's because it's physical. Digital would never have nothing on physical copies. You know what I mean? Just like physical copies would never have nothing on a digital wave. So both has its perks and both has its ups and downs, I should say.
Facts. Next
So
question. I got a question on you before we get out of here. I always have this debate, and I could build with you on this. Um, you was there early in the game with, I say, Rakim, the RZA, Mel Quan. What was that pop was about? That
well,
whole
that was a family thing. It was
Quan,
very
Mel
early part of it.
and RZA and Rakim. What was that story about?
Well, the RZA and Rakim story is real deep. You know what I mean? It's best told from them than me.
Okay.
But what I will keep it on neutral level to let you know from they both is talented people. You know what I mean? And as talented people, they both have a lot to offer the game. They both offered the game a lot. They did a lot for hip hop. So the story in detail, I'll let those brothers tell you the story in detail.
Now I'm talking
But
about Mel Quan as managing all of y'all.
yeah, well, managing us, Melquan was a dope manager at the time. You know what I mean? He
Mm-hmm.
was on the up and coming, but at the same time, he had his feet a little solid in the ground. He knew how to talk the talk and walk the walk. Him and Sincere, they used to partner up and run that little management coat that they had, and they came over to me and it was like, yo, DR, we want to manage you. We think you got it. And, I worked some things out with them. I was able to grow and graduate with them at the moment when they was in the seat of management for me. And it worked out for a second, but just like every other management, it comes and goes,
So
but it
for
was a
the
dope
record,
energy.
Dr. Period is responsible for how many records sold to this day?
Over 30 million records and still counting, brother.
30 million records. Congratulations on that, man.
Thanks, brother.
Gotcha.
Thanks.
And another
You
question:
know,
project rap or side block hip hop? Which one? Which one would you fucking with? You fuck with pop because it was always a battle between brothers from the projects and brothers that live on the side blocks.
I tell you what made me. I like the brothers that's on the side blocks.
Bang, bang, bang.
You know what I'm saying? Because the side block rappers, to me, them dudes was always like more hungrier. The
Mm.
ones for the projects was a little too cocky for me. You know what I mean? Just
Mm.
because they had the fan base of the projects. You know what I'm saying? And it
So
came
it was a harder
every
fight.
time.
It was a
Yeah.
harder fight for a side block guy.
Yeah, it was. It was. You know what I'm saying? Side block dude to me, he had so much to prove because he was going up against the projects.
Fact.
So that's how he looked at it. So yeah, side block dude.
And before we go out of here, man, everybody want to know where is the track with Dr. Period and Timbo King? We've been together
Oh
over
man, come
30 years.
on. We gotta get that going ASAP.
For real, for
Timbo got to
real.
get. You know what I want everybody to do? I want everybody to hit the comments, the likes, and I want everybody to let Timbo say, "Yo, we're gonna put you on the deadline, Timbo. We're gonna give you up until next month to complete a joint with DR." So
Hey, I'm
I
here
will be available for
now.
Timbo for 30 days to call me. Anytime in those 30 days, Timbo get in the
On it.
studio, you're gonna hear that.
For real. I need that Brooklyn fire, man. Salute to
Let's
D.
go.
I love you, my brother.
I love you too, bro.
Thank you for
Definitely.
your time and everything. The Timbo King live show. Appreciate you. Sunny days up in the building. You know, we go way, way, way back. You know how we do.
Yes.
Shout out to
Yes.
Browns Villains all day, every day. You know what it is.
All good, brother. All good. I want to give a big shout outs to the whole Brooklyn. Thanks
Yeah.
for raising me. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for always keeping me in that Brooklyn state of mind. And I want to also thank y'all for also, being Brooklyn. You know what I mean? All the time,
Bro,
all
bro,
day, every day. Big
what's that?
shout outs to Rock Boy Records. We got a lot of things coming. Big shout outs to Inspirational Rock Boy. A lot of great things is coming. And big shout outs to everybody who's buying this new DRP single, A Whole Nother Lit.
A
Go
whole nother,
check it out. If you
whole
missed
nother
out,
lit.
go check it out. It's crazy. It's a good energy. It's a good vibe. And this
There you
your boy
go. Get
DR Period, and I'm
on
out.
the guard,
And
make
if
Timbo
and
King.
if y'all need to contact me, and then y'all need the more additional information, y'all want to learn more about me, go to W. Well, we ain't gonna do the W. Just go to drperiod.com.
So they can handle you
Yeah,
go
you can hear
anywhere.
everything. You can hear
Okay.
everything. See everything. You can catch up on everything. drperiod.com got the whole story of DR Period. And you can see the EPKs. You can get the history, and I can tell you more than you can see it for yourself than more than I could tell you.
Salute. Salute, DR. Love you.
Salute to you, Timbo King, man. And I'm proud of you, brother. You keep up the great work, man. And I like what you're doing and keep it 100 like the way you've been keeping it 100. And many
Back.
blessings to you, brother.
One love.
One.
Likewise. Salute. There you have it. DR Period. It's Timbo King, and I'm the Timbo, pardon me, Timbo King Live Show, baby.